Okay.
This one's called Northern Lights and Satan's Army Dream. March 26, 2024. um, this dream started same as the last one, transitioning from one to another. The difference is that I did not remember I was dreaming at first and thought that these events were actually happening. It was night and I felt like I had just taken a break from doing homework. I had walked down from my room on the second floor saying hello to my dad in the living room before joining my mom in her office. I do not recall what we discussed when we looked out her slightly uncovered office window and saw the northern lights in the sky. They were primarily blue, green, and red. We immediately informed everyone in the house. My dad shot up from where he was sitting and started running around the house, with my mom ensuring we had everything ready. My sisters joined me in the office as we stood unmoving watching the light, thinking this is it. I suddenly remembered I was dreaming and felt the urge to inform my friends. I texted 4 of them that I had recently talked to about the 3 days of darkness in real life and opted to call the last person. I had remembered she said she was going to a party that night, also in real life, and was worried the demons would harm her if someone had opened the door. At this point, I had forgotten it was a dream again, and has a vision of her in a windowless apartment with strobe lights and loud music. She has an alcoholic beverage in her hand when the darkness descended. Everyone heard pounding on the door, fearing it was the authorities. The music was promptly shut off. However, the overhead lights were not turned on. Someone I did not know slowly opened the door to peer out, only to have it torn off the wall as the demons burst into the apartment to rip everyone apart. I was seeing it from my friend's point of view in the dark apartment, save the flashing lights as all of her friends' heads, arms, torsos were being bitten off, pulled apart like dolls, and crushed like bugs. There was blood all over the place, walls, couches, as well as on my friend. A black, formless demon, somewhat resembling the uncanny form of a human, noticed my friend. A smile formed on its lips, and it lunged at her as the vision ended. I immediately reached out for my phone to call her and warn her of the lights. Felt like I was drifting in and out of sleep, not knowing I was dreaming, to feeling like it was real life. I felt immense anxiety, and I waited for my friend to pick up the phone. I felt like I had a splitting headache and I was going to pass out and vomit all at the same time. The Lord calmed me down, and I felt at peace knowing He was with me. Phone call went to voicemail, and I hurriedly told her to get somewhere safe without windows for the 3 days of darkness. After this, I looked back out the window and noticed it had started storming. The lights could not be seen behind the dark clouds that had instantly formed in the sky. It seemed HAARP is trying to hide the lights from everyone, I thought, and prayed that God would show the lights to all who need to see them. I then heard a commotion coming from in front of the front door and walked out of the office to see my parents looking out the small uncovered window from some dream. My dad then opened the door, and instead of the dark, stormy sky I had seen earlier, the rain had stopped. The sky was pale yellow with a pinkish hue everywhere. The northern lights were still in the sky, albeit a little bit more faded now, but the sky was brighter. My dad was yelling at someone or something to get from in front of the house in the name of Jesus Christ. I don't know why he would open the door so close to the darkness descending, and looked around to see what he was yelling at. I then noticed a tall humanoid figure walking the tree line between our house and the neighbor's house. My dad slipped on his shoes and ran out to chase it away. I then saw a zoomed in view of my dad and this creature. It was anywhere between 9 to 12 feet tall and looked like it was made of metal. It was extremely muscular, like a muscular skeleton one would see in their anatomy class, except it was silvery blue. The creature turned around with an irritated look on its face as my dad approached it and raised its hand in the air. At the same time, my dad was raised off the earth reminiscent of Darth Vader using the Force. My dad was not affected and kept yelling at it to leave in the name of Jesus. Every time my dad said Jesus' name, a small crack formed on the metal creature. At some point, my oldest sister had joined my mom and me on the porch watching my dad and the creature. Suddenly, my sister started freaking out and told us to look up. It was then we noticed a large, extremely large spider looming over our neighborhood. It looked to be hundreds of feet taller than the creature my dad was fighting with. It only stood on 2 of its legs, the other 6 hovered in the air. A neon pink glow formed in front of its 2 biggest eyes, and it started to shoot lasers at my dad and the metal creature he was with. Both looked surprised but did not stop the fighting. The spider then moved to angle the lasers at us on the porch. My sister ducked into the house. My mom stood on the porch facing off the giant spider. She turned to us and said, "I will not fear any agent of Satan's army, for I have faith in the Lord." After this, I felt a bit embarrassed as I immediately ducked and hid at the first sign of trouble, instead of trusting the Lord. I then said, "I too have faith in the Lord, I will not fear." I ran back on the porch with my mom. After the spider had finished charging its laser, it shot directly at us. I could see the laser coming straight for me in slow motion. I thought, I can't do this, and at the last possible second, I jumped out of the way back into the house. I looked back on the porch and saw my mom getting hit with the laser, but it was not affecting her at all. She then looked at me again and said, "You said you have faith in the Lord and won't fear, but you don't trust Him to protect you from danger?" Then I woke up. I knew the last statement was a message from God, as I can't do anything by my own works, but through Him who strengthens me.
That's about 3 days of darkness, right?
Yeah, it's weird.